Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers. It's Kieran here, and in this video I'm going to be comparing these two shoes. We have the Puma Velocity Nitro 2 and the all-new On Cloudmonster. Now these, on paper, might fall into two different brackets. One is a super high-stack maximalist cushion shoe. The other one is a little bit more traditional. It still has a wedge of foam in that midsole, but maybe is a little bit more traditional, like your old school kind of running shoes in some ways. But we feel like these two might be shoes you're considering to do the same kind of miles, anything for kind of easy up to those kind of tempo runs. So we're going to tell you if that's true, if you can use both of them, and which one you should probably buy first. So this video is brought to you in partnership with Precision Fuel and Hydration. And speaking of monster things and long runs, I wanted to introduce you to one thing that I've been taking on my longer runs whilst I've been testing these two shoes, and that is this. It's a single pouch with 90 grams of carbs. It's a gel in a big pouch that's resealable. That's brilliant. It means you can take it in your pocket. You can eat as much as you want on longer runs. Some of them I've been going out and then I've been sort of getting halfway in and thinking it's time to go home because I'm too tired. That means I don't have to use all the gel in one go. I'm not kind of dealing with opening up 3 fiddly packets on the way. Yeah, one pack, stick it in your pocket, and you've got enough carbs in this pouch to take you an extra kind of hour and a half to 2 hours running on those longer easy runs. Speaking of which, let's get into the shoe review to see which shoe you should be using to do it as well. So some of those main details really quickly then. Well, the Cloudmonster weighs 230 grams or 8.1 ounces in the women's, 275 grams or 9.7 ounces in the men's. The Velocity Nitro 2 is a shade heavier at 241 grams and 8.5 ounces in the women's, 289 grams or 10.2 ounces in the men's. The Monster comes with a 6mm drop. The Nitro has a 10mm drop. The Monster will set you back £150 in the UK, that's $169.99 in the US, whereas the Nitro is a big chunk cheaper at £100 or $120 in the US. So let's start with a quick whip round of the Monster then. Well, up top you've got a fairly dense engineered mesh upper, minimal overlays. You've got a fairly but not overly padded kind of heel collar. You've got a flat, sort of almost race-like tongue that kind of wraps right across the top of the foot. Inside there's a mainly kind of, it's like almost like a full gusseted tongue. It's not quite a full booty, but it comes up quite high and goes right down into the kind of forefoot of that shoe inside to wrap the foot as well. But then you kind of go really onto the main thing here, which is this massive chunk of midsole, which is, it's made from kind of On's foam, which is the Helian foam, but it's also featuring their kind of biggest cloud tech ever. These cloud pods, these are the largest you'll find on any On running shoe. The idea here is that they've put those big pods in a certain kind of geometry and pattern to make for a softer ride than you might normally find on an On shoe. Inside that midsole, you've got a speed board. That's almost, it's not a carbon plate, but it is a plate. Lots of On shoes have the speed board, and this one is tuned to help you kind of go through a kind of easy kind of rolling motion, and that works in tandem with what you've got here is quite a kind of pronounced kind of rocker, which, you know, familiar with these kind of rocker shoes that we get now. That is now come to the kind of On shoes in this On Cloudmonster. Flip them over, and outside you've got some extra kind of rubberized cloud sections here that are there just to beef up durability and give it a little bit more grip. So how does that then compare with this guy? This is the Puma Velocity Nitro 2. We loved the original Velocity Nitro 1. It was a very, very popular shoe with the run testers, and I think actually out there in the general public. Now what you've got here is not a huge amount of difference between the generations of shoes. It looks almost exactly the same. Again, up top you've got a fairly kind of dense engineered kind of mesh upper. It almost feels kind of double layered really. Inside you can sort of see that it's like a layer over the top and then a kind of inner layer, and that sort of padding runs right down into the forefoot of the shoe. On the top of those toes, it's so sort of soft, and that makes for a really kind of nice, comfortable kind of fit. You've got a more pronounced kind of heel cushioning here than you find with the Cloudmonster. There's a bit more up top, and again there's a little bit more plushness. Interestingly, they've got for the same almost sort of racer-like kind of wrap, thin, kind of weight-saving tongue. This one is a little bit more padded perhaps to sort of help keep that kind of lace locked down without getting any of that kind of pinching that sometimes happens on the top of the foot. In the middle of the Puma Velocity Nitro, what you've got is nitrogen-infused midsole foam here. It's the same foam that we found in the Velocity 1. That is actually kind of really, really kind of nice and springy and responsive. Yeah, but it's not overall kind of too squishy. The other thing you can see here is that this kind of, in terms of its overall silhouette, is a little bit more like your regular kind of old school running shoe than with the Monster, which has got that kind of huge rocker. Flip it over, and you've got something again that we really liked with the original Velocity Nitro. Same deal kind of here. You've got a great amount of grip here. You've got kind of these sort of mini studs on the front of the forefoot in key areas, and also rubber at the back at the right points to help with that kind of durability of this shoe overall. Let's talk fit quickly then. I ran true to size in both of these shoes, and actually Cloudmonster I found absolutely bang on. UK 8.5 I ran in, that's my normal size. Plenty of room, good lockdown, ideal I think at that size. I would recommend running true to size in the Cloudmonster. The Puma Velocity Nitro 2 also ran true to size 8.5. The only thing that I'll note about this shoe is that it feels a bit long and maybe it's a little bit narrow. I've got fairly wide feet and I managed to run in this with no problem at all. I think I would stick true to size. But there's a little bit of extra length in the toe box that initially when you put them on feels a bit odd, and I'm worried that it might curl up over the kind of long haul with these shoes. But I feel like if I go down half a size, everything else is going to be a little bit too snug. So it's not, this one wasn't quite as perfect on the initial fit, although it ran really well and really comfortable. This one bang on true to size. So onto the run test then. The first thing I want to say is that I've had a great experience with both of these shoes. I've really enjoyed running with them both fresh out of the box. Puma Velocity Nitro 2 and the On Cloudmonster, both I think are really kind of solid shoes. There are some key differences though. The one thing here, the On Cloudmonster, it looks like a chunk of a shoe, but actually I think on the foot it runs quite light. But this is definitely a shoe that I found, I've only really used it doing kind of easy miles, sort of low and slow, heart rate sub kind of 130 beats per minute. In my kind of slower pace bracket, that would be kind of 9 to 10 minute miles. You know, it's the kind of runs where I'm just sort of plodding along, building a base, got my head up, looking around. I haven't really used it for anything kind of particularly more speedy because I don't think that's what this shoe is designed to do. It's really there to sort of help you move kind of a little bit more kind of freely and comfortably through those kind of easier runs, and those easier miles make you want to go longer. Difference here with the Puma Velocity Nitro 2, I've used this for a range of runs. I did long slow miles, so I did like an 18 mile sort of 3-hour run in this one, and I ran a half marathon where I pushed up the pace to kind of 7-minute miles. I think I ended up doing like a 1:39, so tested this out for kind of speed and race conditions as well. Now the interesting thing is I think if you want to buy an easy day shoe where you're just going to be sort of recovery shoe, easy miles, so you know, meandering around, kind of those sort of friendly casual runs, the On Cloudmonster is going to do, I think, a fantastic job. It runs softer than a lot of On shoes, and if you've been put off by On shoes in the past because they run too firm, this is definitely a step in the right direction from On. It moves, you get a much kind of softer sort of response without it being too squishy. It's really kind of sort of well balanced. Those clouds collapse a little, but not so much that you're kind of sinking into the ground and getting that kind of sinking response. It's just kind of like a nice sort of dip and roll and response. And I think, you know, in combination with that plate and the rocker, what you get here is I think a pair of shoes that you can clip along very easily at those low paces in. But while this isn't a maximalist cushion shoe and there isn't a really pronounced rocker on this one, and you might be thinking, well, is that in the same ballpark? What really stands out for me with the Puma Velocity Nitro is that it can handle exactly the same kind of mileage that you're going to do, the sort of same kind of runs at easy paces as the Cloudmonster, but it has a few extra gears. It's got some extra added versatility in it. This is a shoe that can, I think, in the way that I look at it, I think this shoe, if you're training for a marathon, if you were a beginner runner, you wanted one shoe, this shoe could take you from your initial kind of early training miles at slow paces through all of the faster training sessions that you want to do, right up to potentially running in it on marathon race day. It's not a marathon race shoe. Okay, if you want to do all of that kind of Vaporfly, all that blah, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Choose those shoes if you want to, if you've really sort of marginal gains. Many people though could run a very good marathon in this shoe. It's very comfortable. The half marathon that I ran, it was perfectly fine running at faster paces. You're getting a really kind of energetic, lively ride in this. It feels light on the foot, even though it's a little bit heavier than this one. It feels nimble, it feels agile. It's so comfortable when you first put it on. This is a shoe that I've really wanted to run in. On Cloudmonster is also very comfortable, and it's an easy one to lace up in that sort of same, when you're looking down, you're thinking, oh, I don't want to put on a pair of shoes that are slightly uncomfortable. Neither of these are. They both kind of fit that bill of it's like, yeah, I'm really happy to pop them on and run. Velocity Nitro maybe just edges it though in terms of overall comfort and plushness and how it just feels underfoot. I think in terms of kind of the uppers and the way that they perform, I think potentially the Velocity Nitro might be a little bit warmer. So if you're in a really hot climate, we're not in the UK, it's sort of fairly mild where I've been running, so it's not a huge deal here. But I think this one, but I think the Puma Velocity Nitro 2 might run a little bit hotter mainly because you've got that kind of almost like a two-layered sort of situation going on with the uppers, with the mesh, and then, as I said, that kind of soft, almost underlay that's in this shoe. In terms of overall stability, I think that's an interesting one. I think both give you a really nice, good, stable platform to run on. You're getting a bit more of a wide, stable base, I think, with the On Cloudmonster than you do with the Velocity Nitro 2. But they both really kind of run fairly stable to me. Whilst we're looking at the bottoms there, in terms of grip, I've only really been running in dry weather with these two shoes, so it's hard to say what happens in slippy weather. What I do know is that the Puma Velocity Nitro original grip was ace. This is exactly the same, so that's, I think, going to be no problem at all. The On Cloudmonster, there's perhaps a little bit less of it. The other thing I will say is that actually now looking at it, probably after maybe 120, 130 miles, the Monster's grip has worn. It is wearing fairly quick, so that may be a durability issue. You can see it in a few key places where I'm landing on my feet at the fort. This one is showing no signs of wear, although I've probably not done quite as many miles in it. The other thing I guess you have to say, with On shoes, there is still a channel in the middle. That channel isn't as big as it has been on some other shoes. As this kind of, it seems like the platforms are getting ever more kind of closed and flat, more like a traditional shoe, but that will still occasionally pick up stones, which some people might find a frustration. None of that with the Puma Velocity Nitro 2. So on to the verdict then, and let's talk about what these shoes can do first. Can they both do exactly the same thing? Well, I'd say not really. I think they're both brilliant for easy miles. So you can go easy, get your head up, enjoy your running, tick along, no particular purpose, low heart rate, low pace, and just get out there and run to your heart's content in both of these shoes. They will both do a very admirable job at that. I think they're both built for comfort. They both kind of give you a good kind of clip along. They both kind of save your legs, I think, when you're running, and for that purpose I think they both do that job. Where they really kind of start to diverge is when you look at when you pick up the pace and you want to do more with the shoe, and that is where the Puma Velocity Nitro really comes into its own. This Velocity 2 has such amazing versatility in it. It really, for £100 as well, when you consider what the pricing is compared to the £150 you're going to pay for this On Cloudmonster, the Velocity Nitro 2, I think it can do everything that the Monster does, but it does more as well. You can race half marathons in this. I think you can do lots of your faster sessions in it, especially those kind of mixed marathon training runs where you know you're going to be doing some faster intervals, but you also have some slower recoveries. Velocity Nitro 2 does that really well. The On Cloudmonster, not so much. It doesn't really have those extra gears to go to in the same way. And so for that, I think also for looking at the overall kind of durability, my fear is that the On Cloudmonster isn't probably going to last quite as long with that grip on the unders. And looking at how much they cost, the Puma Velocity Nitro wins it for me. This is an absolute bargain of a shoe at £100. You're getting so much shoe here that this is going to take a lot of other shoes on and beat them in a lot of cases, I think. So On Cloudmonster, good solid shoe. Puma Velocity Nitro 2 wins it because it is a brilliant all-rounder. So there you have it. That has been my head-to-head of the On Cloudmonster and the Puma Velocity Nitro 2. If you have any questions about either of these shoes, feel free to hit us up in the comments below. We'll endeavour to answer those for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell so that you hear about when our other shoe reviews are coming up. And also, yeah, I don't know what else you've got to do. Nothing. I think that's it. You're free to go. Thanks for watching. Bye.